Been in business, we're going on 32 years, but grew up in a small town in upstate New York with the dream of being rich. That's all I cared about was being rich. We paid him, and we were like, okay, this is it. We're getting ready to roll in the money. And the day before our ads were gonna run, our sales rep called and said, Dave, I have bad news. Your competitor just came in and gave that talent 10 times the money you gave him. And it was devastating. Our business dropped by, you're gonna think it's crazy, but over 80%.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah.
And how have you recovered from that?
People laugh when I say this, but truly make a 100-year plan. Like, we're building out for my kids' grandkids. I want to build a legacy. I don't want landfill.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome to The Business Game.
A podcast that moves the needle.
Kalina, traffic control scheduling. Simple in theory, absolute chaos in reality.
One small change and suddenly everyone's confused.
That's why TraffTrack exists. They specialise in real-time traffic control scheduling that actually keeps things moving.
Desktop, app, remote, no more. Who's on what job?
And they're even taking that into construction next.
Love that. Check them out at trafftrack.com.
Thanks to TraffTrack for supporting The Business Game.
Hello and welcome to The Business Game, a podcast that moves the needle. I'm Kalina Steno.
I'm Steve Plummer.
Before we get started today, make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Today, we're joined by David Socha, CEO of Beverly Hills Teddy Bear Company. David, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. How are you?
Awesome. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to it.
I can't wait to dive into this conversation. Yep. So to kick things off, can you just tell us a little bit about you, your story, and what you do?
Sure. Been in business, we're going on 32 years, but grew up in a small town in upstate New York with the dream of being rich, to be honest. That's all I cared about was being rich. And if that was being a professional hockey player, whatever it might be. So throughout my journey, we somehow migrated to Los Angeles, and through God's infinite timing and way we weave, we've been in the business now over 30 years, as I said, and trying to be a force for good in our toy industry.
I love that. And so can you explain a little bit about what the Teddy Bear Company does exactly? So is it wholesale? And tease out a little bit of that for us.
Yeah, sure. So really three-faceted. We have, we either make product for people. So some of the biggest companies in the world will make custom products for, whether it's an insurance company, a banker, or even a competitive toy company. And then we have our own proprietary toy line, which we make, and we've been fortunate enough we're in about 90 countries worldwide.
Wow.
And depending on how good or how bad the product is, could be 50 countries, 60 countries, but if it's a good product, we usually get in about 90 countries.
That's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so how did you find yourself in this business of toys? You wanted to be rich. How did you find that toys were going to be that for you?
Yeah. So my dad was a police officer, but always hustling. So he did painting on the side, he did security. And when I was about 8 years old, he opened a toy store. And really got my first taste of toys when I was 8 years old. And I was a small kid, and my dad would leave me at the store when I was like 9 years old by myself, working the cash register before, there was no internet. Wow. There was just the dial-up phone. So, but I really fell in love with the business when I was a kid. And throughout the journey, my goal in life was to play professional hockey. That's what I really wanted to do. So when my college roommate and I, when that kind of blew up, we said, you know what, let's start a toy company or a gift company out of our apartment. And that's fast forwarding to the journey of how we started. And the rest is somewhat history, but that's really how we started. And we just wanted to stay in the business that we both loved.
Yeah, I love that. What a fun story.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
with your journey so far, can you give us two bottlenecks that you've experienced? One, the very first bottleneck of starting your business, and then one that's more recent. And how did you navigate that space?
Sure. So the first story is a true lemonade out of lemon story. My partner at the time, who is no longer my partner, we broke up early on. We're still great friends, but broke up early on. We were doing this business, and we were doing a mail order business. So you could send your husband, your wife, your girlfriend a customized teddy bear for between $50 and $200. Now, this is before the internet, so we had to advertise on mostly US radio stations. So it was talk radio, and we were down to our last $10,000 or $12,000, which at the time was a life savings. And we said, this is Valentine's Day. This is our big season when people send gifts, especially to their girl. So we went to the biggest personality in radio at the time in Los Angeles. We hired him. We paid him. And we were like, okay, this is it. We're getting ready to roll in the money. And the day before our ads were going to run, our sales rep, I'll never forget, her name was Megan, called and said, Dave, I have bad news. Your competitor just came in and gave that talent 10 times the money you gave him. I said, but we shook hands. She goes, Dave, I'm really sorry. And I was younger on, I still have a temper, but younger on, I had quite a temper coming from hockey and, being that Polish blood in me, I guess. So she said, my boss, the GM of the station, which was the biggest station in Los Angeles, and they were syndicated, he wants to meet with you. So I learned two very valuable lessons. I could tell you what I was wearing on that day. I was wearing a black and gray sweater. It was cold in Los Angeles for Los Angeles standards. I could tell you the pants I was wearing because this was going to change my life. I was going back to corporate because my money was gone. So he called me in, and his name was Ken, and I was ready, guns ablazing, ready to talk. So I learned two things. I remembered my boss when I worked an internship. He said, always let the other person talk first. Don't say anything. And I was biting my tongue, and he started the conversation. He said, David, I can't help what my personalities do. And I was ready to be like, but I didn't. I held my tongue. But I can help what I do. And I'm the boss, and I'm going to teach you a very valuable lesson today. And the lesson was truly all about integrity. And he said, you're going to go home. And now I'm like, we didn't talk about anything. What do you mean I'm going to go home? He said, you're going to go home and you're going to tell me how many orders you would have gotten with this personality. I said, okay. And then you're going to tell me how many you're going to get, and I'm going to run your advertising until you get that many orders, no matter what it costs.
Wow.
So the incredible part was that day turned into the complete turnaround for the business, because we were done. I mean, we were down to our last money. We had spent it all, and that allowed us. He ran advertising. So for that $10,000 or $12,000, because we paid the personality $1,000. I think we actually got that back. We paid the station $12,000. The advertising they ran, it's going to sound pretty unbelievable, was well over $1 million.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
I had friends. So I was young. I was in my early 20s. I still hung out with a lot of the guys, and they're like, why do I hear your advertisement every 5 minutes on the radio? and he goes, how do you afford that? And I said, it is what it is. It's somebody made good on a bad. And
my negotiation skills, that's how.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. No, it was my lack of, but
I guess that's incredible.
I guess letting the other person speak, but truly that, I'm not a smart guy, but it worked out. Call it Providence, but it was, that was the first bottleneck. I would say that changed the trajectory of my life, really, right? Because the company's become a child for me. So
Isn't that interesting though? That's one of those sliding doors moments, because it could have gone the other way as well, right? They could have just said, "Oh well, that's radio, that's celebrities, that
Yeah.
here's your $1,000 back."
100%.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
How long did it take
Yeah.
for that money for your orders to be fulfilled with that advertising? How long did it run?
So they ran ads for almost 2 years.
Oh my
Wow.
gosh.
So
Wow.
what was going to be a 2-week campaign ended up being 2 years. And ironically, it was my sales rep who was a voiceover actress at the time who did the spot. So her voice so she loved it because everyone heard her voice for 2 years on the radio saying my commercial. So it was quite amazing. And in that time, it allowed us to really find our destiny of what the company was going to be. And then we launched off that. We got an opportunity to make product for Babe the Pig. I don't know if you remember that movie in the mid 90s.
Yes.
It ended up, it was the talking pig. It was supposed to be a low budget film. The film ended up being massive. And so I was working out of our apartment and we ended up selling 40 countries Babe the Pig product. And the rest was kind of history.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And so when you were making the Babe toys, were you like making those, or were you getting them brought in? Like, where did the toys coming from? How did that part work?
So we design them, and we contract manufacture almost everything with different factories, mostly in Asia.
Okay. Yep.
And I had a friend who was a managing director at a factory, and I said, "Hey, we have this opportunity. What do you think?" And they didn't want us to do it, but everyone else said no because the timeline was so quick. Because the movie came out and you needed to get product quickly onto the shelves. Back then, it was Blockbuster Video was the place that was everywhere. So that was the lead customer and selling to the Universal Studio parks and things like that. So,
That's incredible. Wow. And now you're doing that quite often.
We make a lot of different products every year. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. And then what about more recently? Have you hit some roadblocks or bottleneck recently that you could share?
Yeah. Obviously COVID, it was interesting. It was interesting for the toy business in general. I felt like you either feast or you famined. And for us, we had our business set up in the worst possible way for COVID. We were heavily dependent on the international business in Europe and Australia and Canada, all of which basically closed down for my business. Our distributors who we used, their business suffered greatly. And even in America, I had a key distributor and who failed to tell me that he was pivoting out of this and selling PPE products because that's where the money was. And so that, I would say, bottleneck, disaster, it's probably the toughest, most recent story. I mean, it was devastating. Our business dropped by, you're going to think it's crazy, but over 80%.
Wow.
Oh, ouch.
So,
wow. And how have you recovered from that?
It made me really take a step back because before COVID, we were very prosperous and had huge years and we were doing phenomenal. But we always did everything. And my dad always said, don't be the grasshopper. Always be ready for your business. Because the grasshopper just hops around and he always tell me, and then in the winter, it just dies. He said, make sure you make a plan. So I guess I never really had a long-term plan for our business. And after COVID, we've taken the better part of 2.5, 3 years to truly make, people laugh when I say this, but truly make a 100-year plan. Like we're building out for my kids' grandkids. And that's really what changed my looking at the business. Because before we'd look for, let's get a big hit. Let's make a lot of money on this one. But if we can't follow it up, and COVID was the perfect storm from every angle. So it's definitely aged me a little bit. I think my beard's a little grayer than it used to be, but learned a lot. So
how does your thinking change around that then? Going from almost a short-term, I'm sure you haven't been a short-term planner, but that what you mentioned of the, we're going to make a ton here, and then, stretching that out, has that changed your thinking? Has that stretched your thinking? And can you talk us through that? I think that's a really interesting switch for many business owners.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a big switch for me because I've always had we live in an Amazon society. We want that to happen tomorrow. And in general, I think we're just looking at things differently. Are we still jumping on the trends? And we have a popular product right now that's a trend that might only last 18 months, but we know it's a trend. So it's truly looking at your business, and is there an evergreen product that you can nurture and create into longer term? So setting up the systems, making sure from a lower tech side, but tech side, that you're able to work with these longer term relationships, building out more accounts, which is also a big thing. We would only service the top 200 customers, 250 customers. Now, this year, just to give an example, we've opened over 1,000 customers. And the goal over the next few years is to really build that. One of my mentors always called it the Mount Fuji. And he said, you don't want the bottom of the mountain. You don't want the very top. You want everything in the middle. And it's kind of how we're building. It's almost like, you're putting the cake, right? We're baking the cake, and you can have the frosting, which are those trends, but truly building sustainable brands long-term, and just thinking at it more from, and I say this because I think a lot of Asian companies that we work with, they think so far out. They think 2-3 generations out. That's really what we're trying to do as we build our business, and just build a much more solid foundation, and not just run with the trends and grow. Of course we want to grow, but we want to grow strategically and healthy. So hopefully that answered your question.
Yeah. I'm fascinated. And Colleen and I were talking about this before the episode. How do you pick a winner? How do you know what those trends are going to be? Because no one has a crystal ball, right? So you follow the trend, but how do you know if you've got a product that's going to be a winner? It always fascinates me how, in fashion, it's in and then it's not. How do you navigate that?
Yeah. I would love to say it's all me, because that'd be easy. But truly, we have a really good team, and I don't want to say we're a family because it's so cliche, but we really work together, and we've fed off each other's strengths and weaknesses. And we've been fortunate to find in our space, I consider us plush experts, stuffed animal experts, textile experts, fabric experts, but finding that next trend is definitely an important part of the business. And it's having a good team around you that truly knows where to find the trends, have the relationships with the factories or the mill that's making the product. And I think that's one thing our partners would say, is that they're always bringing something that we don't expect. So, yeah.
And do you get that wrong sometimes? We think the trend's going to be X, and it actually is Y.
We do. I'll give you a quick example. Silk pillowcases.
Yeah.
Were really big. They're still really big, right? It's good for your skin, good for your hair. Everything's great. So we said, you know what? We're going to make silk stuffed animals.
Oh.
And we went really big. We went and made the product, had a couple partner distributors on it, brought it in, and it was a bomb. Complete bomb. So
Surprising.
Yeah.
we definitely get it wrong plenty of times. Yes. Yes.
I think that's probably comforting for people to hear, though, right? You know, like you can still be successful and muck it up along the way because you haven't got a crystal ball. So, yeah, thank you for your honesty with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, get plenty of things wrong. That's for sure.
And you as a leader, how do you navigate those times when you do have things, do you get things wrong? What are some of the things that you implement to move through it quickly and keep going?
You know what? We don't harp on it. And I encourage my team to get things wrong because then we're closer to the right. And I've had some great mentors and a couple great anti-mentors, I'll call them, where you kind of see how they manage when difficulty comes in, or a mistake or a major mess up. And, you know, there was a CEO of GE, a Jack Welch, years ago. And I always remembered his quote because it was in his book. And he said this was years ago. This guy made like a $500,000 mistake and he was a low-level person. And they said, "Oh, Jack, I bet you ripped him a new one and fired him." And he said, "Absolutely not. I just gave him a $500,000 scholarship. He just learned that he'll never do that mistake again."
Yeah.
And I encourage, obviously you can't encourage failure, but you can encourage pushing to the point of, because I think that's when you find your greatest results, is when you really push the envelope. And you're going to fail when you push the envelope every time. But when you find that success, when you push the envelope, that's when the real joy comes truly from business, because you found a way to do it.
Yeah. So true. I love that.
You've worked with, or you supply at least to big companies, you know, Disney, Coca-Cola, Amazon. There's a long list of really big corporates that you deal with. I'm just curious, for people listening and want to break into that market, are there some secrets or some tips about how you go about engaging with those big players?
Yeah. You know, I'll say showing up every day and persistence. Coca-Cola was early on in the company's history, and I literally called the guy who handled Coca-Cola every week for 2 years.
Oh, wow.
And sometimes twice a week. And I'd say, "Anything change yet?" And it kind of became a joke in one sense, but then we finally did the deal. And I think people give up so easy, especially this new generation of entrepreneurs. There's some amazing entrepreneurs, but I see it in the younger generation. If you get a no, they just, kind of walk away. No, that's where the challenge starts, right? So I think truly persistence, and then building a reputation around what you do. And we get plenty of things wrong. We ship plenty of things late. We make enough mistakes, but it's what you do with them. And if you come clean because like a mistake isn't like wine. It doesn't get better with age.
Yeah.
It just gets worse.
Yeah.
It just gets worse by the minute. So I tell my team, call them, not an email, not a text, call them and say, "Hey, we messed up." So that's how we like to deal with it. And we're still not going to satisfy everyone, but we know we try to do everything and fix whatever we can with it that's humanly possible and do the right thing. So, and if you get that reputation, it's a good thing.
Yeah, taking that ownership is such a big piece. I think a lot of people are scared to get in trouble, and it's like, no, it's still there anyway, and you're going to get caught. You may as well put your hand up and deal with it now. Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm interested to know, this is something that a lot of people talk about when they're talking about their success, but I'd love to know what things that you've had to sacrifice to get to where you are.
So early on, I actually just read a post about this on LinkedIn, and it said, "What did you sacrifice?" And I thought back, and I've missed a lot of weddings where I was in Asia and I had people getting married. I had an emergency trip or whatever it was. I've missed early on, especially, I missed building some friendships that I wish I would have. I think I think that was the biggest. I am grateful because on the flip side of that, I got married a little later and I was able to be a little more stable in my career. So on the flip side, I didn't have to sacrifice time with my kids. I spend a ton of time. I really try and spend a lot of time with my kids and my wife and my family. And so my mentor always told me, he said, if I could have did one thing different, is I would have got married younger and had kids younger. Ironically, him and I got married the same age, so it didn't work, but he's right. I mean, I think if I wouldn't say put off that, but for me, it worked out well because I'm really able to engage with my kids and coach my kids and do every event. I really try not to miss an event that's major for my kids, which I think when I was younger, I probably would have and wouldn't have had a maturity to know otherwise.
Yeah. Oh, that was going to be my next question is if it had happened earlier, do you think you still would have ended up where you are, happy to sacrifice that time with your kids, not knowing what you know now, but because you were hungry back then?
You know, to be honest, and it's going to sound really bad, I don't think my marriage would have lasted.
Yeah.
Truly. And so I don't know if I would have had those kids.
Yeah. That's fair.
Did it right.
Yeah, that's honest.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, just to be, because I was, there were times when I would go to Hong Kong for one day, fly from Los Angeles, 15 hours, do one day of meetings and fly back. So, go to Hong Kong 12 times a year or whatever. So yeah, I'm grateful I paid some dues early on, and obviously I'm very blessed. I'm glad how life turned out. But yeah, it's a great question because I don't know. I've never really thought about what would have happened if that wouldn't have happened. So
yeah, David, I want to lean on your experience a little bit here. We always hear, growth is so important in a business. We want to grow, we're looking to grow. We want to grow. Looking back on your career and your company, what are some steps to that growth that people listening might be able to apply to their situation? I know that's a little bit open-ended and how long's a piece of string, but if you could give, if I came to you and said, David, look, I'm wanting to grow my business, what have I got? What thinking have I got to change? What steps have I got to go through?
Two things come to mind. I think the 80-20 principle, really focus on the 20 that gets you the 80, right? Like who are your key partners? What moves the needle if you want just bottom line, top line growth, right? And then depending on the size of the business, hire the right people because I've gone through, I was brought in to do a turnaround in our business with a very large company. So I have a lot of experience with hiring and firing people. And you really want to get that right person. And I heard a quote from a famous business author, John Maxwell. And when you're hiring someone, always ask them, will they lie for you? And if they say yes, that means they'll lie to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was really impactful for me. And of course, we all get it wrong. We don't hire the best people all the time, but we've been really fortunate. We've had some tremendous individuals, and we do run our business a little differently. I almost call them vertical because key people almost run their vertical little businesses within our company, and they're almost their own entrepreneur. So you really have to bring in people that have the same mindset of how to run the business as you. So those are my two, those are the two that came to mind, Steve. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks, David. Have you asked that question in interviews? Have you actually implemented that?
I not all the time, but where it's a key thing, I do.
Yeah.
Because I want to know, right? And I think it's just really important that you hire people with the same integrity that you're trying to have, right? Nobody's perfect, but you yeah, I would say it's important, very important.
It's almost a squirm type question as well. Do they get a little bit fidgety and like,
oh yes, oh yes.
What's the right
when you ask
answer
someone
here?
that question, yeah.
Because I haven't heard that one before.
No,
right?
I love it. I think it's great.
Wow,
It's so
that's
true.
Ouch! What would I say? You know,
Yeah. I know it's right. It's tempting. Well, maybe I would fly for
Yeah.
you.
I don't know.
How much you paying me again?
Yeah.
Like,
What are we talking about?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So when was there a moment when you realized, okay, I am a leader and this is really important? There are some things that I need to change in my thinking, in my daily habits. So that's going to allow me to lead this team to this next phase. Have you ever had that, or do you continuously have a check-in with yourself? Because being a leader for something like what you've built and continue to build is a huge responsibility. So how does that look for you?
Yeah. I think to be an example is the best thing you can do as a leader, I think, because I'm not smarter than most of my people. They're smarter than me. And so it's more about showing up every day, showing them that you care, because we do. I care about everyone who works for me or works with me. And I think really just leading by example, be consistent, show up every single day, and listen to what they have to say. Really important, because my first job early on, my bosses could care less what I had to say. And I was just a young guy. They didn't care. So I think those are, for my leadership, it's more about that. I know I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I admit it. I think, but you have to own what you own. And the reputation that we have as a company is we're going to make it happen one way or the other. We're going to get it done. And that was my boss. He said, if I could say one thing about you, I know you're going to get it done. No matter what I give you, you're going to figure it out. To get the trash out on time or to get something to deliver on time, you're going to make it. And that's really important to have just your culture be you, right? And there's different leaders, so I think it's important.
Yeah. With your manufacturing, you said like everyone that you work with is all sounds like a really great, beautiful culture that you've built. Do you have relationships with the manufacturing companies that you sort of outsource to as well?
100%.
Yeah. I've heard that's a huge change for a lot of business owners that go and take that plunge and go and actually commit that time.
Yeah. Those relationships are for us because we rely on them to make for us and to deliver the quality that we expect. So most of our partners are 10 plus. We have some 20 plus year partners. And we've built a relationship where, for when you work with a contract manufacturer, the number one thing for me is they're going to make quality product. The number one thing for them is that they're going to get paid. So you build that mutual trust and you invest in that relationship and the time. And yeah, so it's important to build the relationships. And the only way to do it is time, dinners. And now we have Zoom and we have all these fancy video calls that you couldn't do back then, but it's really important, really important. I have FaceTime calls with a handful of our factories just for that time to build our relationship.
Well, that's amazing.
Well, I'm curious because you've got thousands, I think, products, David, that you've created over the years. Have you got a favorite in amongst all of those?
It's a great question. You know what? We've made a lot of great products that I love. I would probably have to say either we did a lot for the movie Shrek back in the day, and we did a realistic Shrek that looks real. And I think it won a couple toy awards. That might have been one of the best because it was probably the highest quality we did. And then some other fun ones are just things that just really high quality stuffed animals that we make. And it's my favorite animal, and it's a teddy bear, and just basic. I'm a plush lover at heart. I've always have been since I was a kid. So, and my kids ironically love plush stuffed animals. So I like what they like.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say one of the higher quality licensed products that we did.
Do you get not another stuffed animal for Christmas or birthday this year, Dad? Like, do you get that because we've got so many, or not so much?
So they don't get it for gifts, but when they come to the office, I like to see what they want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Interesting.
Yeah,
They'll go, oh, can I have this or can I have that? And I'll know, oh, maybe that's going to be hot this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Early indicators.
yeah.
I like the squishy hot dog, right?
The squishy
the squishy
ones,
hot dog looked really good, right? I like to look at that.
Yeah, they looked fun. I really liked the platypus. It was like the plush platypus. Very good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So can you walk us through a little bit of the process of how you go from idea, design, manufacture, production?
Sure. So another key element we do at our company is 1 to 2 times a week, we have a brainstorm, and we put our ideas together. And so from womb to tomb, it starts basically with the idea. Then we'll have an artist or the product development person sketch it. We look at it, we say, okay, we like it. Then we'll colorize it, whatever it is. And then we'll take that concept or idea, maybe ask around, maybe ask some kids, some adults, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And then we send it off for sampling, make the sample, bring it in. If we love it, we'll expand the line. So you talked about, we have a platypus line coming out next year.
Oh, there you go.
And so we have 8 different platypuses drawn around the same thing. And we think platypus are going to be really trendy next year.
Fun.
Because it's been the duck and the axolotl. We think it's platypuses next year. So hopefully my competitors don't get up on that too early. But, so we'll sample it. If we love it, we'll order it right away without placing any orders or having any orders from a customer. If we say, you know what, we want to try it out, we're going to lay out this line and we're going to sell it at our trade show. We'll show it, we'll get a read, and then we'll place an order, we'll forecast and things like that. But I probably cut it a little short. The manufacturing is a little more difficult than that because they sample it, then you place the order, they send over pre-production samples, make sure they match your quality, and then you're off to the races.
Wow. Yeah, I've never known how a toy is like start to finish. That's fun. Now I'll look at toys differently now.
Yeah. David, in your experience, and again, a leadership quality, and you've been leading your business for a long time. Leaders make lots of decisions. What advice have you got about the process of decision making for people who are listening and they're leading their business?
It's a cliche answer, but it's ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, okay.
So many people take so long to make the decision, and business passes you by. So you're better off firing at the target and missing by a little than never shooting at all. And you just, as a business owner and as a decision maker, you just need to make the decision, trust your gut, and go for it, because if not, you're going to miss it. And I think if I were to say, who's a new entrepreneur or even someone now, I would say, make the decision and commit, right? So, yeah.
Zoom back out and rely on your wisdom and your experience. So if someone is running a business like yours, but they're, 3-5 years behind where you are right now, and they asked you for a shortcut or a couple of shortcuts or some tips or a cheat code or something like that, what sort of things would you tell them?
For me, I think I'll go back to what I said earlier. Take a longer view at it. Don't because our business is interesting because toys have a short lifespan. We're not making Reynolds wrap or Ziploc bags or things that are staples you buy every day. You're making products especially trend products, can be in and out in 18 months. So I definitely suggest making part of your company have an evergreen part to it and take a long view of it. How do I build the next Gucci or something, aspire for greatness, right? And really have a longer term view for a percentage of your company. Some people just do trend and they just jump. Great. But for me, I've changed now to where I need a big part of us to have an evergreen portion that I'm building year over year. I'm trying to build 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 accounts that can carry this line for generations and it doesn't change. So
what effect do you think that shift in thinking has had on the business? Because it is a very different style of thinking that, for a couple of 100 years versus 2 years. How has that impacted the business, that whole shift?
One of the gals who works for me, we work very close. She's like my right hand. She always says, let's take a breath. And I think, and we're taking more breaths.
Yeah. Wow.
And we're saying, how do we, and I had a call with a South African business owner, extremely successful. And she wanted a partner on a project. And she said, I want to build a legacy. I don't want landfill. That's exactly what she said to me. She goes, I want to build something with legacy to it. And she gave some examples and this was a few years ago. So it kind of just reinforced the way we were thinking is build a legacy. There's so many people who get in, they sell their company right away. They make they do all this, but truly build a legacy. And I think that's probably the word I would use is, how would I say to look at it? Legacy.
Mm.
Touching on landfill, with the life cycle of these products, is there any sort of recycling systems or things in place or in the future of trying to obviously reduce the amount of toys that sort of end up in landfill?
Yeah. So I would say in general, everything is in it, but stuffed animals are probably less in it than most. Most people don't throw out a stuffed animal. So I have personally, and I'm not a scientist, but I've personally studied what I think is the best for the consumer and the child. So we use recycled stuffing on almost everything we do.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. The skins, I don't, because I have 6 kids and I don't think I'd give my child a recycled stuffed toy. And that's going to raise a lot of eyebrows. And I have people in the business that are pushing me in that direction. But with all the microplastics, and that's how they're making these recycled toys out of microplastics, I think we get enough plastic in our life. And it's proven that those microplastics break down. I'm not going to make friends with this answer, by the way.
No, but hey,
this is a hot point.
It's reality though, right? Yeah.
I go against the grain. Yeah. From a lot of people in this, but I don't think so. On the sustainability, recyclability, yes, we're using less cardboard. We're using less packaging. We're doing things where we can for sure help. So yes, we are very cognizant of it. And the environment is very important. I have 6 kids. I want them to have a nice place to live and my grandkids. So
yes, of course. Yeah. But it's a good point. Yeah. When you think about like the microplastic, we sort of created a bit of a storm for ourselves, humans. Like we can't really recycle all of it because I don't really want to be ingesting. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
It's like a big question mark of what to do.
Yeah. I saw this new mold they've developed that eats the plastic. Have you seen this?
Oh, I've heard about this.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting because it breaks it down quickly.
Okay.
So,
but where does it go?
I don't know what happens to the mold.
Yeah. Does it go into like, this is the thing. Sometimes we like shift the problem and we're like, oh, cool, but we can. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry to digress. I just was really interested.
No, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are coming to the end, but before we finish up, we like to come with some quick rapid fire questions just to get to know you just a little bit more. So there's 10 questions and just 1 or 2 word answers. Don't think too much, just kind of point and shoot. So are you ready?
Wow, I'm nervous.
Don't be
I'm
nervous.
starting to sweat.
No.
Take a breath. Take a breath,
Yeah,
David.
yeah.
Yeah, take a breath.
I feel like I'm in
Okay.
a high school fight right now. Fight or flight. I got to do
Yeah, that's right. I feel like you may have answered this one, but we'll start. Okay.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
Work for my dad in a toy store.
What's your coffee order?
Green tea,
Here you go. Android or iPhone?
iPhone.
Office or work from home?
70, 60, 40 work from home.
Early riser or night owl?
Both.
One piece of tech you couldn't live without?
My phone.
Your current go-to productivity hack?
Meet with my team.
That's a good answer.
A business book or podcast you recommend to everyone?
Business book. I would say either 212 Degrees or I'm drawing a blank, but it's by John Maxwell. There are no such thing as business ethics.
Ooh.
Oh,
All right.
wow.
I'm going to have to check that out.
Yeah. Yes.
Best investment you've ever made, money or time?
Time.
All right. If you weren't doing what you do now, what career would you choose?
Phew. Archaeologist.
Ooh. Love that.
Wow. Yeah. All right. There you go, David. You got through them. You can breathe now. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Take a breath.
It's all right. And then we do like to ask one final question.
Yes.
If business truly is a game, what's your definition of winning?
Definition of winning. For me, business is a team sport. So building a team and all working towards the same goal and then having success. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, I think that's a great answer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this has been such an exciting conversation. Thank you so much for joining us
Yes.
today and sharing so much knowledge and information around the toy industry and everything that you do.
Thanks so
for
much
our
for having me.
listeners, where can our listeners find you and your company? If they want to learn more.
I'm on LinkedIn at just David Socha, plush. That would be how you find me. And our website is plush.com.
Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much.
All right, that's a wrap for today's episode. If you enjoyed what you heard, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you're listening. It really helps us bring you great new episodes of The Business Game every week.
For more insights, strategies, and real stories to help move the needle in your business, we'll meet you back here next time.
Thanks for tuning in to The Business Game.
If you like what you've heard, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay connected.
A big thank you to our major sponsor, TraffTrack, for powering today's episode.
And join us again on the next episode of The Business Game, a
A
podcast that moves the needle.